Have you thought back?
Alright, so you're probably wondering, how the F do I use Adobe After Effects? Well, today I'm going to show you. So when you first open After Effects, if you have project files, or maybe if you don't, the screen will come up. And it'll ask if you want to start a new composition or a new project, or you want to open a recent one. Now, these are some of the recent ones that I've done. As you can tell, I really like Spider-Man, but we're gonna go ahead and start a new project. Now, it's gonna bring you to this menu here. You can either go here to new composition or here, new composition. It's the same thing, just press this on the screen. Now, when these settings come up, 1080 by 1080 is like a 1:1 ratio, so it's like a little box, a little square thing. If you don't really know what to do, or like what resolution composition settings you want to set your thing to, you can also press the preset here, and it gives you different presets with a frame rate. I like to edit in 30. Now keep in mind the editing style that you're going for also depends on your frame rate. So if you want something to look more glitchy, a bit choppier, like a good choppy, right, you might want to go for a lower frame rate, or you could use an effect called posterize time, but we'll get into that another time. So this is the basics right now. Default, I like to go for 30. It just looks good. So we're gonna press OK. And this is what that ratio looks like. But if you're not satisfied with that, you could also go back to composition. I did that so fast, sorry. Composition settings, basic, and then you can also mess with these, like just drag it and see what you like. See how it turns out. But I'm just gonna go back to 1080 by 1080 and press OK. So let's get to know the interface a little bit more. Right on the left hand side, or wherever you have this on your After Effects, this part is where all of your media files will go into, and your compositions, your pre-comps later on. So right click here, it's gonna ask for a new composition, a folder, all of these things. Import, it's like you're importing your videos, your pictures and whatnot. You can choose multiple files or file. Let's say I go to file and I want, I don't know, a March picture. So we're gonna put that in After Effects and it's gonna pop up here. Now you can drag this on the timeline and it'll show up here. Now you may be wondering, like, okay, why didn't it immediately fit to the comp size? Well, that's an easy fix. You can just scale it up like this. Now, once you scale it up like that, if you want it to remain that way, which is a good idea, there's this thing called a precomposition. Once you've done something to a layer and you want it to stay that way after you've already manipulated it, precompose it and it'll act as if it's a new layer, so it stays that way. Pretty simple. This is where you put in all your audio files and stuff like that, your pictures, videos. Cool. Now your After Effects might look a little bit different from mine because I've messed around with all my settings. I've put everything everywhere. Usually all your effects and stuff will be on the right hand side, including the align character auto sway. You might not have auto sway because it's a script. Some things that I have in here are scripts or plugins that you could probably find somewhere. I don't have them, but if you find them, I will make tutorials on those. So go over here to your effects and presets. Wait 9,000 years. Cool. So once you have these, all of your effects will appear here. You could type them in. So actually, I'm gonna import another picture here, and we're gonna make a simple transition, and I'm gonna show you how to keep your transition smooth and flowy, all of those things. So we're gonna scale this up so it fits the pre-comp size. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just enough. Pre-compose it so it stays this size. And so on the new layer, we are going to enable this thing right here. This is the motion blur. So I'm pretty sure you guys know what motion blur is, but if you do not know, when something moves, it has a blur to it. So we're gonna enable motion blur, and I live by these. I swear by these. That what I'm about to put on the screen, right click, new, null object, okay? Basically, a null object is just another master layer, I guess, or a movement layer. So you pair this one, you parent this to the null object. So the null object can control the movement of the clip that you have underneath it or on top of it, whatever. Do the same for the other one. Null object. You can drag it like this, and then this one. This is the parent picklip, as it says there. Parent it to the second null object. All right. So we're gonna do, I don't know, a zoom out rotation thing. So you press S on your keyboard, hold shift, and then press R so you can have both of them up at the same time. Move towards the end of this, and oh, sorry, wait. Motion tile. Motion tile will save you. My personal settings on this are 400 by 400, and then you mirror the edges. So when you zoom out, it doesn't look all weird and stuff, right? It just doesn't go to like a black screen or whatever. So we're gonna zoom out to, let's say, like 45. And we're gonna turn this to 180. All right, cool. Now this is so linear and so bad. You see the motion blur that we turned on. What we're gonna do is select all of these, press F9 on your keyboard. You can click on the scale here, or you can select manually. Open this up, and your graph should look like this. If it doesn't look like this option right here, it's probably on speed graph. Change it to value. Now what you're gonna do is pull this part up and then pull this straight across. Now what the difference between these mean is the closest starting to 0, think of it like a car, literally. Think of it like a car, okay? Unless you got like one of those crazy fancy cars, whatever. It's gonna start off a little bit slow, and then you're gonna gradually get faster. And this is like the drop off. Think of this like a hill, right? So it's gonna go really fast at the end or whatever. And then do the same for the other side, like this. You wouldn't want them to be too sharp because they just look, they're too fast and they look a bit too stiff. So we're gonna play this out, let that render. Okay, nice. It's a little nice start up to this. Now, whatever you just did here, we're gonna do opposite on this side. So we're gonna go to the null layer, S, Shift, R. I like to drag these two out, these keyframes. So we did 180 here. For the rotation, we're gonna do negative 180. And then we're gonna scale this in to, let's say, like 187. So select both of these, select scale by itself, and then we're gonna start fast. We're gonna start fast going down, and then drag this across like this. Okay, let's see how that looks. Oh, I didn't put motion tile. OMG. Alright, motion tile. CC Reptile is the same as motion tile. Okay, we're gonna get into it. But just use motion tile, it's easier. Same thing. What the heck? Alright, cool. We have a little, like, transition thing. So now we've created a basic transition using the value graph. Although it is a bit stiff at the end, what you could do to fix this what you could do to fix this is drag these out a bit, like this. Go back in the graph, because once you move keyframes that are already graphed, they tend to just, I don't know, mess up. You can shorten this a bit, or just experiment, mess around with it, see how you like it. Okay, you can do that, or let's see how this would work. This would be nice if it had another transition to go after it. So we're gonna make another null layer, just above this one, and we're gonna parent null 2 to null 3. So we're gonna have it like this. I'm gonna start it in the middle, because if you start a transition or something, I don't know, after a keyframe ends, it just looks like it stops and starts. No, we want to give off the impression that the flow is always there. So we're gonna start in the middle of these transitions, or keyframes right here. Spread it out a little bit more, and I'm gonna do a, oh, I didn't parent it, right, here you go. And then we're gonna zoom it out, like here. Okay, and then we're gonna make sure it starts from slow to fast. So it's gonna look something like this. And I'm gonna actually cut all these right here. To cut things, it's Control-Shift-D. To copy, it's Control-D. To undo, it's Control-Z. Copy, paste, Control-C, Control-V. I'm trying to think of other ones. That's the ones that those are the ones that I use so far. Oh, and I think star on your keyboard is to like mark beats, but I don't have a star on my keyboard, so I have to manually do this. So there's that. So what I'm gonna do is actually, so this looks a little bit stiff still. I'm just gonna drag this, I don't know, to like the end of the thing. Fix my grabs. Let's see. I want to bring it up because I want it to like go this way and then back down. So bring it up and let's see. That looks a lot better, actually. That looks a lot better. What in the world? Now, I'm gonna let y'all in. I'm gonna let y'all know a little secret. Okay. If you have a zoom out and you want it to look nicer, put up an adjustment layer. Make it only a few frames long towards the end of your transition, and we're gonna add warp to this. Okay. Trust. Warp. Go to fisheye. And bend -100, keyframe it. The little stopwatch is to keyframe, and then put this to 0. Turn on the motion blur for this. You don't really have to graph it because it's at the end, so it'll look something like this. That looks a lot better than what it was before. So we've learned basic transitions right now. We're gonna move on to 3D, which is a lot more complex. Actually, no, we're not. All right, I'm gonna teach you what all of these things do up here. I've gone ahead and just pre-composed this thing for now, but I'm gonna turn off that layer and import a new picture for us to use. So we're gonna use this one. Scale it up. Recompose it. Make sure that these are selected. Boom. Alright, cool. So the hand tool, which can be accessed by pressing H on your keyboard or holding down H, it kind of just moves your screen around. It doesn't really do anything to the project itself. It's like if you're trying to mask out the hair and you want to move up, you just press H. So let's say I have my mouse, hold H, it brings up the little thing. If you let go, it just reverts back. Hold this and drag to move around the little canvas thing. Yeah, that's pretty much what that is for. Now, if you want to reset this, go down here to where it says whatever percent you're on, fit up to 100. It just resets it back to the center point in its original composition size. So yeah. Zoom tool, you don't really need the zoom tool. Just use your scroll wheel. That's what I do. It's not that bad. Rotation tool, I never really use this. I don't know. I'm assuming it's to just rotate your screen, but you honestly won't need that. The anchor point tool. So the anchor point tool, let's say I have a text, right? Right click, text. Let's type something like here. Let's type this, and I'm gonna put a fill to make it something we can all see. Okay. Now, when you make a text, it might not be in the center depending on what you've typed. So find the align panel. It should be over here underneath paragraph or something like that. Press align horizontally and align vertically. It puts it exactly in the middle. It centers it like that. So let's say you have a text like this, where the anchor point is on the corner side and you want it to be in the middle. You're gonna click on the anchor point tool, so you can move it, and then put the anchor point, just drag it to the middle. You can turn on snapping for this, but if you don't want to have snapping, those lines that you just saw are not gonna pop up. You can manually move it however you want. Okay, so we're gonna go back to this. Now, this is the rectangle tool, or if you hold down on it, it gives you a variety of options. Rounded is like soft edges, ellipse is like circle, oval, polygon, star. Yeah, you get it. So, default might be the square or the circle, I'm not too sure. But when you click on this, there's two options on how to really use this. You can use it on a layer itself. So let's say I choose the rounded rectangle tool and I want this picture to have soft edges. I'm gonna click on my picture. I'm gonna start from a corner that I want and just drag across the screen like this. So once I've done that, it's rounded the edges, and you can also align this horizontally and vertically. Precompose it as you like, and then mess with it the way you want to. Now, the other way to do this is you don't click on any of these, and it'll give you options up here for like the fill and stroke. This can be used as a shape layer. You can create basic shapes with this. Now you can choose to have it in like empty and just show like the outline of this, or you can just use it for shapes, for 3D, to start cubes, everything like that. So that's how that is used. Let me actually get rid of this. Next one is the pen tool. Now this is a very popular tool. If you plan to mask something, let's say for example, you want to mask out, I don't know, pom-pom here. You can mask out pom-pom. So you select this tool, go to the clip or composition that you want to mask something out of. And actually I have a mask here. I'm gonna delete this one. I don't need that one. You can start masking pom-pom the way you want to. So just make sure it goes out so you capture the whole thing. And once these two connect, you click on this. It should show something like this. Now let's say we want to have March. We don't want pom-pom. I'm sorry, love you pom-pom, but like March. You can either go to invert, or if you have multiple masks in one thing, let's say you make, let's do none so I can see it again. And let's I don't know, let's just mask out her face right here. Like this. Let's say you don't want You don't want Pom Pom, but you want March's face. You can press subtract on the mask that had Pom Pom in it, and it'll keep March here. So there's how you use that. Now I'm gonna get rid of these two. If you don't know how to select multiple things, just click on one clip and then hold shift, and anything in between those two things, plus the things you've selected, will get selected all together. They'll get grouped up. The next one is the text. Well, you just go to new, press text, and then you type whatever. So we don't really need that. Now the brush tool you won't really need unless you're repainting something in After Effects. For the love of God, do not do this. I know I made a tutorial on how to animate, and I basically showed you to repaint stuff in like After Effects and stuff like that. But if you have any other options, let's say like Photoshop or Clip Studio Paint or Procreate, please do it in there and then just drag it into After Effects. It's so much easier, and it doesn't make After Effects lag at all. It's just a lot easier. Plus, they have a lot of blending modes, better options, better brushes, all of that stuff. Clone stamp tool, I haven't really used this unless I'm repainting, so these two, you're better off just doing it in a different program, like I said. Eraser tool, if you want to clean up edges, you really can. So you select this. I think you'll double click on this layer. Now to make the brush bigger, you hold Control and then you just drag, and then you can erase like this. You can make it smaller and erase like that, but not really doing that right now. This is a Roto Brush tool. Now you saw how we masked earlier with the pen tool. The Roto Brush does the same thing, but let's say you have a clip that's moving, right? And you don't want to mask every single frame because that's too much work. You're gonna double click on this layer and this would come up. This would show the duration of the clip or picture that you have, even though pictures don't really have, like, I don't know, time stamps on it, limits. They don't really move. So how to use this is we're gonna drag this around, and then you're gonna start tracing over it, and these pink lines signal what is inside. Everything outside of this is going to be masked out and you will not be able to see it. So let's mask all these things right here. Cool, it seems like March is fully masked out. Now usually you'll press freeze, or you'll mess with the settings a little bit. Let's say I wanted to make the feather 8 or something. If you want to, press freeze. You really don't have to. Oh my god. You really don't have to if it's a picture, but if it's moving and it's like a small clip or whatever, press freeze. Now, March is masked out perfectly. I mean, what can I say? It's too good. It is too good. So there's that as well, but I'm gonna get rid of that right now. Select both of these, get rid of that. Last thing is the puppet position tool. Now this is used for animation and stuff like that. Let me see if I can go back. Okay, so you have March here. Let's say I wanted to move her hand. Obviously you would have to repaint like her face separately, all of that stuff. You'll have to separate parts if you want them to move individually. But let's say I wanted to move her hand. I would make 2 points here. Usually where joints are, you wouldn't really have to make one here, but since it's connected and it's all one picture, I'm gonna do that anyway. It'll automatically set keyframes, and to show the keyframes that are already made on your timeline, press U on your keyboard, and they've already come up. So let's go forward a few frames, and I don't know, just move it. So it moves something like that. Obviously you would keyframe it, graph it, make it look a lot better. I'm just showing you the basics of it. I also don't know why my background did this. Maybe because I only froze 1 frame or something, but it is what it is. Yeah, so that's what all of those do. Now I'm gonna get rid of these. Get rid of this, get rid of the puppet pen tool. And that seems to be about it.